When the most profound teacher of my entire life showed up, it ended up being this freaking boulder that had been probably attached to the side of a mountain in Colombia, South America for millions of years. And on February 19th, almost 8 years ago, it chose the moment when my daughter was underneath it to break loose. And so I remember vividly getting that call. And the first thought that crossed my mind, ironically, was, why me? And it wasn't a why me, like, why did this happen to me? It was, why did my daughter get unlucky enough to end up with me? I definitely wasn't wealthy enough. I was totally inexperienced with that kind of thing. I didn't even think I was wired to ever be experienced with that thing. I didn't speak Spanish, and this happened in Colombia. And I felt like I just wasn't enough. She needed someone who could create a miracle. And I couldn't even figure out me. And it was devastating. And all I could do was hop on that plane and zoom to Colombia, South America. But as I sat there on that plane, completely surrounded by darkness, feeling just about every negative emotion that you can imagine, I felt like I cried more tears than most human beings cry in their entire lifetime, because life wasn't supposed to go this way. And yet the funniest thing happened. I realized that there's no better place to ask yourself some powerful questions than at 30,000 feet. And the real question was, how much power was I willing to give this boulder? And who was I going to commit to showing up as for my daughter? And as I looked back over my life, I realized that I'd been hit by so many freaking boulders in my life. I didn't understand them at the time, and I certainly didn't feel grateful that there must be a reason. But in that moment, I was given the gift of seeing their value and realizing that I may not be able to control the outer game, but I sure as heck could play a mean inner game. And so I said, game on. And I leaned into the inner game like it has never been played before. And I showed up at that little tiny hospital in Socorro, Colombia, South America, as a force to be reckoned with. And I have never looked back. Things that were totally impossible to explain medically became our reality, and miracle upon miracle upon miracle became our destiny. And months later, Schuyler survived the unsurvivable, and we began the next chapter of our journey with me as her 24/7 caregiver. And my daughter, this 22-year-old Yale graduate who is going to go out there and change the world, trying to learn how to talk again and wondering if any of those dreams that just months before had seemed almost predetermined were going to be possible. And in that moment, as we felt the gifts and we felt the terror, I realized that this was that crazy epicness that I had spent my whole life wondering if it even existed. I committed that I would make it my mission to share what we have learned thanks to that boulder, which, in my humble opinion, is that these boulders, these obstacles that come in to our lives uninvited, to disrupt at times even, they are not here to destroy us. They are here to help us destroy the things that we have been using to play so small